Okay, Chapter 5, How to Describe Language. So what does this chapter do? Sentence constructions, parts of speech, noun types, verb forms, pronouns, adjectives, adverbs, prepositions, articles, conjunctions and conditionals, forms and meanings, language function, words together or collocation, speaking and writing, pronunciation. So, what does this chapter do? Our students and teachers need to know how to talk about language at various points during learning and teaching. This is not only so that teachers can explain and students can come to understand, but also so that teachers know what's going wrong where and how to correct it. While it is perfectly possible to learn a language outside the classroom, with no reference to the technical aspect of language in less classroom with teachers, it will have if all the participants are able to say how the sound B is in the berry and V is in a berry. I may. What don't what we don't say I have seen him yesterday, or what is wrong with the Chinese crime when we mean juvenile crime. In order to be able to talk about language, we need to know how to describe its various elements. In this chapter, we will therefore look at some fairly basic language descriptions and issues. However, it is important to realize that a short chapter can only scratch the surface of an extremely complex and challenging collection of different language issues. It can only be a basic beginning of a much bigger area for investigation. It is intended only on its introduction to some of the terms and issues which teachers and students may need, and teachers must follow up the themes touched on here. And they need to have at least one of the grammar books mentioned in Appendix B on page 187 or an equivalent on the cells so that they can learn and investigate further. And as for constant reference work during their teaching lives. In other words, this chapter only introduces concepts which teachers and students need to become familiar with and which they will then need to build on in their different ways and different levels. In order to work out some of the issues raised in this chapter, it will be a good idea to read about them in conjunction with the task file for the chapter on the page 148 to 152. In doing the task, some of the issues will become clearer, some of the contrasts will become starker. We will start by looking at a number of grammar issues. Sentence construction. One way of describing different kinds of sentences is to use the terms subject, object, verb, complement, and adverbial. Thus, a simple sentence such as the dog bit the man contains the subject with the dog and the verb with the pig and the object with the man. Other similar sentences can be read in the newspaper. To solve the problem, Columbus discovered America. Verbs like these with objects are called transitive. Complements. A complement is used with verbs like be, see and look, etc. to give information about a subject. For example, the sentence she seems happy contains a subject she, a verb seems, and a complement happy. Examples of that sentence with complements are: they are Irish. He was a brilliant pianist. She was in a bad mood. Subject plus verb only. Some sentences are formed with only subjects and verbs. For example, he laughed. They disagreed. It poured. Verbs such as these with contact and object and called intransitive. Laugh, disagree. Some verbs can be either transitive or intransitive. She opened the door opened. Two objects. There are two kinds of objects, direct and indirect. Direct objects refer to things or persons affected by the verb. He sang a song. Pizarro called Piero. She loved him. An indirect object refers to the person or thing that, in one grammatical phrase, benefits from the action. She sang me a song. She painted him a picture. I gave ring to my girlfriend. Where should we pay taxi for the government? Adverbial phrases. Adverbials or adverbial phrases complement the verb in the same way that a complement complements the subject. He lived in Paris. Adverbial of place. They arrived at late night. Adverbial of time. She sings beautifully like an angel. Adverbial of manner. Multi-clause sentences. All the sentences we have looked at so far are simple sentences. That is, they only have one clause. We can make much longer and more complex sentences by joining and amalgamating a number of different clauses. For example, the following sentences: the girl met the woman. The woman was standing by the kettle and they went to a cafe. They had a meal. They enjoyed it very much. Can be amalgamated into a multi-clause sentence like this. The girl met the woman who was standing by the kettle and they went to a cafe and had a meal which they enjoyed very much. It is possible also to convert some elements of the several sentences into phrases. The girl met the woman standing by the kettle. Parts of speech. When considering sentence grammar, we need to know various things. What words can be used for subjects, and how do we show different sentences? What can come before and after nouns? In other words, we need to have to able to talk about the parts of speech. The parts of speech which teachers must be able to recognize and summarize in the chart on page 37. We can now look at each of these parts of speech in more detail. Now types, countable and uncountable. A distinction is to be made between countable nouns and uncountable nouns. As the name implies, you can count what the words refer in the first category, and therefore you can make it a plural. But you can't count what the words refer to in the second category, and you can make them plural. A word like apples is countable. We can say 3 apples, 20 apples. So, are words like table, horsey, cottage, novel, but words like furniture and comfort are usually uncomfortable. Uncountable. We can say to furniture, a comfort is just on the 38. Many words are sometimes countable when they mean one thing, but uncountable when they mean something different. For example, the word sugar is uncountable when we say I like sugar, I like some sugar, but countable if we say 1 sugar or 2, where sugar is a spoonful or cube of sugar. When we talk about someone's hair, it's uncountable now. We don't say is it going bang, he hasn't got many hairs. Instead we say he hasn't got much hair. But we can talk about a hair or the hairs on his neck, in which case the word has different meaning in countable. Plural nouns, singular verbs. There are some nouns that appear to be plural, but would behave as if they are singular. You can only use them with singular verbs. That is a popular pub game. The news is depressing. So here is the chart. Parts of speech. Okay. Yes. Determiner. Okay. Example: see countable and uncountable nouns on page 36. The weather is terrible today. It's uncountable. There isn't much doubt about the future. Uncountable. He hasn't got much money. Is uncountable. There aren't many people out in the storm. It's countable. She got a lot of friends to help her through this. Countable. And I've got few coins in my pocket. Countable. A collective nouns which describe groups or organizations. For example, a family, team, a government are called collective nouns. They can either be singular or plural depending on whether they are describing the unit or its member. We can say the army advanced or the army is advancing. This choice isn't usually available in American English. However, where you would expect speakers to use singular verbs only. Some collective nouns are affirmed by making adjectives behave like nouns, and in this case, they are always plural. The poorly in the terrible conditions, the vertically challenged sometimes feel discriminated against. Whether a noun is countable or uncountable plural collective affects the constructions of the sentences as occurs in uncountable nouns are used with the singular verbs and works like much. Countable nouns, on the other hand, are used with singular or plural verbs with words like many. Compound nouns, we are used to now be in a one word, but English also has many compound nouns constructed from other than work. For example, walking stick, cherry tree, town hall, and boyfriend. Not all compound words are noun, however, we can also have compound adjectives, for example, fair skin, neat looking. Noun phrase. Some quite long phrases have the same functions as sentences. Is a single noun, such phrases would have noun at their head. On a common phrase, noun phrase, and the man with the head, the tall ringing acrobat, the girls I met last night. In each of these cases, the phrase can be the subject or object of sentence. The man with the head or the large whiskey. The children photograph a tall ringing acrobat and going to ring up the girls I met last night. Verb types. There are three important types of verb to be aware of: auxiliary verbs, main verbs, and phrasal verbs. Auxiliary verbs, these are be, do, and have. And the modern auxiliary verbs are with, should, will, would, can, could, may, might, must, ought. That uses main verb see below in affirmative sentence, negative sentence, and question information. Example: we're staying at our friend's house. We have only just arrived. We don't expect to stay for long. We can't afford to pay for the hotel. We ought to find a place about town. Could we move to another town? Did you leave Glamorgan once? We hadn't thought of moving. Note that we often use contraction with auxiliaries, etc. Done instead of do not, or will instead we are. Main verbs. These carry the main meaning. He arrived at 6 o'clock. He said that he is a church god. We didn't believe him. He's always telling stories. He shouted at us because we were laughing at him. Someone poured him a drink. He felt better after that. Phrasal verbs. These are formed by adding an adverbs of preposition on an adverb of preposition to a verb to create new meanings. For example, set out. We set out the following day. Set out is agent for the meaning, which has a completely different meaning from set. Set an exam, set a table, or put it up with. I'm going to put up with this anymore, which has a completely different meaning from put. He put a photograph with a letter. These new 2 or 3 word verbs are single units of meaning. For example, set out could mean leave a journey at plan. Put away means tolerate stand. All phrasal verbs confuse students of English because not only do many languages not have this kind of meaning unit, but also it is difficult to work out when you are dealing with a single unit of meaning. She looked up the word in her dictionary. When you simply deal with a verbs of a preposition, she looked at him. In the second example, the meaning of look has not been changed by up. In the first it says, she ran over a dog. Archer looked over the plans before we start. We can put out the wedding tear after the funeral and take after my father and his quality that he will get away with treating her like that.